Hello, and welcome to another fully live episode of Hacking with Friends. My name is Cody Kinsey. I am a security researcher at Varonis, and today we have another very special guest, Alex Lin, the co-host of the Hack5 channel and recent contributor to the Security Forward channel as well. So today we are going to be answering your questions live, and of course we're also going to be going back onto our YouTube channel and answering questions that you guys have left throughout the week, because we always say if you don't get your question answered here, then make sure to leave them on the channel so we can answer them today. We're also going to be taking a trip to a dark place, a very dark place, which is my message requests folder on Twitter.
Nice.
So ever since the Null Byte channel started getting a lot of attention, I would say at the end of the video, if you have any ideas for upcoming episodes, please send me a message on Twitter because I'd love to hear from you. Nobody does this. Nobody has ideas for upcoming episodes. Everybody has complicated personal issues or illegal stuff that they are trying to figure out how to do, or just very questionable or aggressive requests. So every once in a while, I decide to delve into these and see, hey, like what are people asking me about in this this section? And it's usually very anxiety provoking. So we're going to go through a couple questions. We're going to answer some of the most reasonable, but I just want to give you some scale into how many of these requests I receive. If we switch over to my screen very quickly, we can see our first question, but also I get hundreds of messages. I have probably at this point over 1,000 messages, if not more, from people with questions or other just very strange requests, or sometimes stories, sometimes very long stories, occasionally entire conversations with themselves, all in a message sent to me. So this is kind of what happens when you have videos on YouTube that get like, like a couple million views. Like, people just hit you up. So, I mean, I do like talking to people, but again, this message request section really stresses me out. So we're going to dive into this a little bit because there are some good questions in here. But again, if you have questions live, then we would love to answer those as well. And we'll also be getting to the ones that we gathered from the YouTube. So also just saying hello to everyone in the chat. Nice to see YouTube Gamer, as well as, I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, but it starts with a V. And Tao Quing Gong. Everybody is in the chat. Good to see you. Except Zam. I don't know where Zam is, and I'm a little concerned. So hopefully Zam checks in at some point. But all right, so let's go ahead and start with the first question. Let's go with one from the YouTube channel.
All right, so the first one is a direct accusation. I see people blinking. This video is fake. How do you deal with such accusations, Cody?
So, okay, so when I'm anxious, especially when I'm like presenting or I'm stressed out, or I'm on my like fifth take of like something that's very complicated, sometimes I don't blink. And of all the things that people could have latched onto from the YouTube channel, I feel like I got off pretty light, that's the one thing that everyone knows me from that channel. So I frequently get accused of either myself or one of my people that I've kind of trained of not blinking, and occasionally people notice that in fact we do blink, and they get very confused. And I'll just say we have Michael digitally insert blinks just to kind of throw everyone off. We are not capable of blinking, but there's a lot of things going on here that are not real. So we'll reveal a little bit more about that later. But yes, no, we're not blinking really. It's inserted. All right, next question.
Hi guys, I'm trying to use Hawk Tool in BlackArc. It is asking to turn WLAN 0 into monitor mode. How can I change it to my adapter setting, which is not WLAN 0?
Okay, so WLAN 0 is going to be your internal card, and this tool is trying to put it into monitor mode. So what my take on this question is like, you have a tool that's trying to put your wireless card into monitor mode, but it can't because it's not supported. So you're trying to use something other than WLAN 0. There's a couple tricks to this. A really dumb one that I do by accident pretty frequently is if you take one of your cards down. So if you set that wireless card as down, you can insert a new wireless network adapter, and your computer will automatically name it WLAN 0 because it thinks that name's available. The conundrum is when you try to bring your other network card back up, it'll like either try to assume the same name and there will be a problem, or it'll assume WLAN 1, and then your internal card is like, it can just cause some wacky problems. But this is something I accidentally do working with wireless network cards all the time. When I have to bring one down and then bring it up again, I'm like, wait, that one switched names. Like, why is that one WLAN 0 now? So if I'm interpreting your question correctly and that is your problem, then that might be what you need to do. Just take your internal card down and then plug in a card that is actually compatible. But you can also rename these interfaces, so that would probably be the easiest route.
I've done that a number of times, the unplugging method.
Mm.
Do you want to take the next question again?
Yeah.
How to learn ethical hacking and free of cost? Well, tune in to the videos we're posting on Hack5 and also many of the streams that we have here.
I would
as
say
well
also
as-
like ethical hacking is all about what kind of specialties you want to get into. So there's so much out there that you kind of got to choose like what part of it you're the most interested in and go a little bit deeper into that, because you can't be a professional about absolutely everything in cybersecurity. There's just too much out there. So what is it? Do you like doing bug bounties? Do you like doing pen testing stuff? Do you like writing programs? Do you like reverse engineering stuff? It really depends on what specific part of cybersecurity you want to focus on, because there are great resources out there, but it really does kind of require you to make a choice, or at least shop around a little bit and then choose which one you want to go deeper. So I would say first things first, like decide what area you want to learn about first, and then start looking for resources. Because if you just look for ethical hacking resources or cybersecurity resources, you're going to get a bunch of general stuff, but it might not actually give you the skills you need to really get started. So that would be my advice. What would you say?
I would say the same. Basically the same advice. There's just like too many different paths in cybersecurity and ethical hacking for you to just like be able to broadly grasp all of them. So I would say focus on one thing that particularly piques your interest and go more into depth on that.
Cool. So I'll also take a question from the chat, which is, can you suggest any YouTube channels or any websites for pure beginners who want to learn hacking and, they basically want to start from the beginning? Well, yes. Let's see. There's actually a lot. So if you are a beginner and you're trying to learn about kind of like cutting edge software, or you want to stay current with things that are coming out, and you don't necessarily care about learning about the fundamentals, then Kitploy is where we go for a lot of our new stuff. A lot of the stuff on there sucks, but it's all new. So you can kind of go and filter through and see what the community is using and maybe get some tips on the most interesting stuff out there now. If you're looking to go back to basics, then honestly, some of the fundamental episodes on like Hack5, some of the stuff we did on Nullbyte for just teaching about Wireshark and how to get started with that sort of thing can make you more comfortable when you're getting into networking stuff. But honestly, I would say like any free networking like classes or anything like that would probably help you a lot go from a beginner to understanding how computers network together and being able to figure out how these tools are actually acting on a network or how they need to be configured in order to work. Let's see. What do you think for resources? I mean, obviously there's some really good Udemy classes depending on who's teaching them. It's really all about the teacher and whether or not they have a good track record and they're good to learn from. But I find that a lot of the time there are good classes out there that are just a matter of finding someone who makes the subject really fun and easy to learn. What would you say?
I don't know any like general YouTube channels that cover like all the topics that like where I personally started with hacking. Just like every topic that I wanted to learn, I would find like one channel that was particularly good at that, or like find one series. Like when I wanted to learn networking, I watched this one series on YouTube that was like a CCNA prep class or something like that. But I think it pretty much differs for like every subset of like cybersecurity topic that you want to look into.
Yeah, someone also says check out Network Chuck on YouTube. I absolutely agree. Really good resource for learning networking. For microcontrollers, I learned a lot of stuff from, I think I shouted this out before, but random nerd tutorials. Lots of really good example code and stuff to get you started on IoT or security-related projects using microcontrollers. And there's really not a lot of good resources out there, so I really appreciated finding that. And yeah, like there are things out there. There was, what's that one, Cybrary? For a while was a really good resource. I haven't checked in with them for like probably 2 years. And I know that the way that they pay some of their teachers like isn't really fair. Just because I consider teaching for Cybrary and I saw what they were going to pay me to teach, and I was just like, absolutely not. So I can't totally speak to the quality of the stuff coming out of there because I again have not checked in for about 2 years, but for a while it was a good resource and I did some good learning on that. Okay, yeah. If we think of anything else, we'll try to either drop it in the chat or mention it. But let's go to the next question.
Cool. Make a video on Grida Linux.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's apparently a distro based off Arc.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what
Can
it's
you give
like
me more?
particularly geared towards. Okay, Garuda. Okay, Garuda Linux is an appealing Arc Linux-based distro with BTRFS, a modern file
go to
system.
the website. Let's see it.
Alrighty,
Can we switch over to your screen?
sure thing.
Whoa.
Oh, there's a little bird.
That is not Alex.
That is a little bird.
That is not a little bird.
That is a little bird.
What by your definition is a large bird?
Big Bird from Sesame Street.
Fair.
That is an apex predator.
All right.
This is a little bird.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Special spotlights, easy installation, something about calamari. Okay, great.
Okay.
Looks like just a very
the view.
polished and easy to use like graphical interface.
No, keep going. Maybe it has
See.
more. I mean, we're literally deciding if we want to do this right now. So thank you for the suggestion. Come on. Keep going. This is boring. Yeah, it has a GUI. Yes, it has another
Yes.
GUI. More GUIs. All GUIs. Look at all these
These are-
GUIs.
Wait, what is this? Good.
Little.
Okay, so these are like the main focuses of Garuda apparently. So rolling releases, it's always free. Okay, that's standard with most Linux things.
Yep.
Ease of use.
Okay.
Some stuff about the graphical user interface. Focus on performance. I don't know what exactly is meant to stand out about this, except that it's like super polished and fancy.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you guys want to see us try out this operating system, please let us know. It's been a while since we've done one of those, but we could install it and check it out. Nothing like stands out about it more than like Manjaro or some of the other ones we've covered to me yet. But if you guys really want to see it, then we could do another Arch-based one. I would just use Manjaro because it does all of those things, and I
Yeah.
know how to set it up. And also, I can play Civilization on it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I play Alpha Centauri, but I don't want to blow anyone's minds. All right, so let's go ahead and take one of these potentially cursed questions from my my Twitter message requests. Most of these, again, from the YouTube channel. So this first one is actually not cursed, and I have to say thank you for this question because I get it a lot, and I've responded directly to some people, but at a certain point, it's kind of hard to respond to everyone. There are lots of people who create content, especially security-related content on YouTube, and then have it taken down. And they'll hit me up and be like, hey, like I heard from the news that you also had an issue with your content being taken down and it was restored. Like, what exactly were you able to do? Okay, so there was a couple of things that played in our favor in the circumstance that I had. One of them was that we were playing it incredibly safe beforehand because we had a couple scrapes with YouTube and it really scared our editor, who was the one who was ultimately in charge of deciding what the titles were and like which topics were approved and which ones weren't. So we decided to start being conservative a long time before there was the really kind of unreasonable crackdown on YouTube. And because most of our stuff was extremely defensible, it made it easier for us to explain it once it got enough attention. Now, we had the added benefit that our YouTube channel had been blowing up just before this happened. So we had like a pretty large audience of people who appreciated the content. Although I feel like a lot of people watch the YouTube channel and they're really like awesome people, but they never comment or really interact with the video. So we had no idea how many people who were just regular people were upset when some of our videos started getting taken down. So as soon as some attention was shown on it from literal like press coverage, this was in like a couple different countries, we managed to get our videos restored because somebody at YouTube was just like, this is causing a fuss, like what is going on? And then they looked into it, they're like, this should not have been taken down, what are you doing? It's interesting to note we've always had a pretty hostile relationship from YouTube in that they have sent us notices telling us that like we'll never receive like the like golden play button or like any of those play buttons, no matter how popular we got on Nullbyte.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Really?
because they didn't think that our content fit their community standards, but it was like okay enough for us to continue being on our platform. So it's just like YouTube is always kind of like approved but disapproved of us at the same time. So as soon as we started falling like on the complete wrong side and like upset the sort of unspoken relationship where they're just like, listen, like we're not going to kick you off, but we're also not going to acknowledge you. Yeah, it just, for one, it made us feel like we had no support from YouTube whatsoever. And people were constantly telling us to like go to some other platform. that like didn't censor their content at all, but then like our videos were right next to like videos that very explicitly teach you how to hack like a particular service for crime or just like far right propaganda. So like we didn't really want to move over there either. So in the end, like by being extremely careful with the titles and mostly staying completely clear of any video that involves like hacking a service, or like anything that could be remotely construed as like a guide to committing a crime, we were able to stay relatively safe. We did things like change our titles to how hackers do this instead of, you know, like how to hack XYZ. Because even Hack5, who's been around forever and has an excellent relationship with YouTube, got a temporary strike, which was resolved, from how to hack like Metasploitable, which is deliberately vulnerable. It's a tool you're supposed to hack to learn, but the YouTube censor person didn't know that, so they struck it, and the whole channel had repercussions, and like people couldn't publish their videos, and it was really bad. So this happens to tons of people. Unfortunately, like moving off the channel like isn't often an option for a lot of people, but focusing your content on things that are inarguably educational is really the only advice I have, because as soon as you step over the line into like how to hack a Gmail or an Instagram or whatever, as soon as it looks like you're committing a crime or doing a tutorial to commit a crime, they're very unforgiving and they do not care about nuance. And the problem here is like nuance is required to understand what this content is, and that's why it's so hard. Have you had any run-ins with YouTube?
Yeah, one video that I made about like 2 years ago that was specifically on how to recover Instagram passwords, that evidently got removed, but that was mostly because I was not in the know of YouTube policies at the time.
Yeah, so a lot of people, well, I think we have another question in here somewhere about why we don't do videos on Instagram or stuff. And here's a hint, like as soon as you touch that stuff on YouTube, it instantly makes the rest of your content look less legitimate. So that's why we kind of steer away from it. So, okay, another question. Hi, my name is Yaba. I am from Ethiopia. What is the best way to learn cybersecurity? There's no boot camp or any sort of school for cybersecurity. I've been learning YouTube from channels like Network Chuck, good channel, and David, and of course Nullbyte too, but can you tell me the best way, because I feel like I'm not making any sort of change. The internet sucks and I'm looking for pro tips.
That's kind of tough. Do you have a good starting point?
Yeah, because there's the route of certifications where you could try to get a certification where you're learning all the prerequisite stuff you need for that, but a lot of people say that certifications aren't really a replacement for like experience or like depth of knowledge in a particular area. Like you could just focus on like a particular area and in some cases be better off than having a particular certificate. So it's a little bit tricky to say. I would say in particular, like I say this a lot, but if you can find anything like a routing and switching class or something like that to learn, even some of the free stuff that's like available, you know, there's a lot of classes from larger universities that are like put out publicly, so you can watch along with them. I know Harvard does that, and there's some other universities that do as well, about networking or about anything that like is around cybersecurity that you want to learn. Some of them are basic computer science classes, other ones go more into security, but some of these free resources can kind of supplement what you wouldn't get from a certification class. So, you know, it's tough being in an area where there's no like in-person resources, especially when it comes to like not being able to study this in school, because a lot of this is getting feedback and learning from other people. But, you know, unfortunately, the best way to do this is by experience. So if that means using Metasploitable or some of these other deliberately vulnerable or, you know, things that are safe to attack and learn on, you can follow some of these tutorials and learn the overall processes you need in order to do the job and get enough experience doing it that you understand all the fundamentals. And that's really like what you need to get hired, is understanding the big picture and the fundamentals. Anything else you can learn if you're passionate about and your employer is willing to give you some time to grow and learn, but that's, again, not always the case. So that's one of the trickiest situations, is learning this sort of technical stuff at a distance without a guide. A guide is really important because it allows you to prioritize what kind of stuff you need to learn, because as I said, there's too much out there to learn everything, and it can be really frustrating when you're running around trying to just learn, you know, what you can when it's not necessarily useful for the job you're going for. So again, another thing might be try to focus in on a specific area you really enjoy. If you can decide now what part of cybersecurity you want to go into, you can save yourself a lot of time like learning stuff that might be fundamental to someone else's job, but probably won't be for yours. All right, we can do another question.
Sweet. Where is this old channel? I missed those videos. So they're referring to some of the older, like, episode style videos we had on
Oh,
Security
yeah.
Forward,
Mhm.
which we made, I think, only a total of 2 or 3 of.
Yeah, so when we very first started the Security Forward channel, our idea was to make kind of higher quality episodes that took a concept and showed you guys us actually doing it. So more like kind of mythbustery almost. And then the pandemic happened, and we suddenly weren't able to be very close to our production people anymore. So that was the biggest hiccup, is we didn't have enough production capacity to make these fancier videos anymore. As things open up again, we're starting to explore doing these more often. And I think that honestly, they do really have an impact. Like being able to explain something by showing us testing it and it working is a lot more compelling than just hearing about the way something should work. So yeah, if you guys want this, like we're currently lobbying for a budget for this actually. So if you want to see episodes that have, you know, more of the feel of the ones we did in the very beginning, and you want to learn by example, by maybe having us build something and test it, then obviously these episodes take a little bit longer to produce, but they're really fun. And I feel like a lot of regular people learn from them a little bit better than they do from the live streams or from the tutorial style stuff. So let us know if you want to see them. I thought they were really fun. They take a little bit of production muscle to do, but we've got it now. So if you guys want to see it, let us know and we'll start doing them again.
Yeah, they're always a fun way to switch things up and showcase cool stuff.
Absolutely.
I miss those.
Yeah, and you can just show a lot more. So one question from the chat was, it'd be really interesting in seeing a video about Ghidra. Sounds like it could be a pretty powerful tool in the right hands. I am still trying to get Marcus Hutchkins to come over and do like a little thing on reverse engineering, just because he started a YouTube channel, which I think is excellent and shows you how to get started doing it with, I think, Ghidra. Or actually it might be IDA. It doesn't matter. But either way, I think it would be really cool to have a reverse engineer come on and show us a little bit about it as well. So I'm gonna redouble that, because I want to get a little bit into reverse engineering, and it is not my area at all. So having somebody teach a little bit of the basics would be really cool, and I agree. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I don't
that'd be
think
cool.
I don't think you're much of a reverse engineer either.
No.
Yeah.
Unless it's like screwing around with hardware and figuring out how it works, but not really software.
Yeah, like we can do like recovery of like images from like a hardware board to like look for passwords or something, but not necessarily like looking at like malware. So that's actually, you know, obviously much more interesting, and for anybody who wanted to be an analyst would be a lot more useful and maybe pretty inspiring. So if you know anyone that does good reverse engineering videos, we'll invite them on the stream and maybe we could do one. So let us know. All right, well, what do we got next?
What network adapter do you use in VirtualBox for Wi-Fi hacking?
Wait, what was that again?
What network adapter do you use in VirtualBox
Oh
for
my
Wi-Fi
gosh.
hacking? I think
Okay.
that's specific towards this video, but I mean, like any network adapter, I guess you could address.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pure Security OS is going to have, well, I was just saying, oh my gosh, because I hate using wireless network adapters through a virtual machine. It causes all sorts of issues. I've had so many problems. But when you have to, I really like the, let's see, Panda Wireless and Alpha Wireless both have lines of network adapters that are explicitly Kali Linux compatible, and they say so on their website. So I really recommend all of those. But, you know, I would just say the Tube U.
The TubeU?
Yeah.
The big boy?
Yeah, the big boy.
All right.
Yeah, if you really want that power, you got to go with the one that looks like a baton, that's meant for boats and large buildings.
And breaking legs.
And breaking legs, yeah. But I mean, there's also some more subtle ones. Like there's the PAU-05, the PAU-07. There's a bunch of other like Panda Wireless ones that just look like a regular USB stick, but they also allow you to do 5 gigahertz hacking, and it tends to be supported by Kali Linux and Parrot Security OS. So I would recommend all of those. I'll type that out in the chat as well. But yeah, PAU-05, I believe, is the non-sketchy looking Panda Wireless one. I'm going to double check that.
Yep.
And the reason I like that one is it generally does not look like anything sketchy. Oh yeah, so this is, sorry, we can go to my screen. So this is a 2.4 gigahertz only, but it's really, look at that. It just looks like a cutie little USB stick, you know? Like aside from the little flashy light on it, you would never know that it was up to all that Wi-Fi stuff. So these are very sneaky and cool. And is it the PAU-09? Is that it?
The dual band one?
Yeah, the dual band one.
That one's crazy. It has horns.
I always worry that I'm going to just, it's PA. Yeah, so this one has horns. This one's a lot less subtle, but it is dual band. Now I'm curious. All right. Well, okay. We're out of here. So basically, you can buy this sort of wireless network adapter that's compatible with Kali Linux, or anything that's compatible with Kali Linux is generally going to be compatible with Parrot Security OS. That's not going to be 100% of the time, but you can mostly assume that. So if you find a chipset that's good, then in general you can expect that that's going to work across any network adapter that has that chipset, because that's really what you're looking for, is a compatible chipset. So that's all the advice I would have on that. But yeah, a lot of people ask about wireless network adapters. We have a lot of them, so we might do a shootout at some point, just showing like which ones work and which ones don't. But yeah, if you want to see a test, let us know. If you have any requirements for that test, then really what we would probably test is just range and the ability to do packet injection, but who knows.
Nice. We're taking another question. This one's pretty intense.
All right.
Just a Wi-Fi hacking. 3 question marks.
All right. So I love this. We went ahead and did hacking computers from blocks away with a Wi-Fi Duck. And that was controversial because a lot of people were confused about exactly what we were doing here. They were like, you're not really like hacking Wi-Fi here. You're hacking the person's computer remotely, but only sort of. So let me break it down. What we did was we had Sneaky Michael sitting on like a car park or something, like a block away. And then we had a computer sitting in a coffee shop and a second hacker with a Wi-Fi Duck. So the hacker with the Wi-Fi Duck walked up, plugged it into the victim's computer, and then sat down like a little kind of like a cross so as to not look suspicious. And then Michael, the sneaky hacker, connected to the Wi-Fi Duck over Wi-Fi and sent a script for that specific computer's operating system, because you would never know if it was going to be a Windows, Mac OS computer. It's kind of hard to say before you know what the victim has, and created a backdoor on the computer, which Michael was then able to connect to remotely. So, I mean, for the layperson who doesn't know that this whole process is happening, like we kind of tried to explain it, and like it seemed like it was getting across, but there's a lot of people who like did not get it and then got very mad at us for like deceiving them or confusing their expectations. So, okay, that was the hack. Obviously, you had to have 2 people there, and the point of this is being able to flexibly deploy a payload based on what the first hacker sees. So if I'm in the coffee shop, I see like an Apple computer, and I need to tell the other hacker, hey, I want to run a payload for an Apple computer. I can just text them, plug this in, and that other hacker can inject the payload from blocks away, just like we said. So I feel like we were honest in this one, but yes, this has generated probably the most controversy out of any of the episodes that we've done on this channel. So if you have thoughts on this, feel free to leave them in the comments on that video. Obviously, we check them. But yeah, some people got upset about this. What are your thoughts to the reaction on this video?
I think that question's pretty intense, but if you wanted to check out the Wi-Fi Duck that was featured in this video, I dropped a link in the chat here if you want to take a look at that. But that was a pretty cool video. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and take another question from the channel.
Cool. Which laptop using for Bast hacking?
Please go ahead and answer that one, Alex.
Okay, if you want to do some of the Bast hacking out there, I'd really recommend. Honestly, the ThinkPad is one of my favorite lines of laptops because they're just like super modular and easy to find parts for. Because I tend to find that I break a lot of stuff, and the parts to replace this are super cheap on ThinkPads. Especially the older ones too, they're pretty cheap to pick up. If you're looking for something with like higher specs for like GPU cracking or more RAM or stuff like that, I would say like the Dell XPS line is also pretty good, but those are a bit higher priced.
I keep given macOS computers. I do not recommend them for hacking.
Nice.
If you get them for free, take them. But in terms of virtualization and Wi-Fi hacking, the new macOS, like MacBook Pro, will not allow you to access the Wi-Fi stack in a way that even lets you use an external wireless network adapter in a virtual machine properly. It just doesn't work. So
pretty crummy.
Yeah, as somebody that does a lot of Wi-Fi hacking, I can't even get a card into monitor mode reliably on this thing. So I'm just going to give you a negative recommendation. Don't get a MacBook Pro for Wi-Fi hacking, at least not the new ones. So from the chat, we know. Like so I started doing TikTok videos, and I included Wi-Fi networks in it. And of course, I also did several videos on how you can locate someone's address or where someone is from Wi-Fi networks. Oops. So all these excited kids in TikTok were like, I can see where in Los Angeles you sort of live around. I'm like, kid, this is like the worst part of Los Angeles. Like, you, under no circumstances you want to, it's like, Google that street and there's 3 documentaries about how terrible the crime is on there. So, you know, like, we have been moving around a lot because of the pandemic. We just did a segment from Missoula, so we don't care. But I appreciate it. It's just not that much of a concern for us.
We have a question from John Cortez. When you guys are not hacking the world, what do you guys do for fun? Play any video games?
That's a great question. Alex, what do you do for fun?
I sleep.
That's not true. You don't even enjoy sleeping.
No. Recently, I don't know. You take this first.
Alex likes to strip wires with his teeth.
I thought you were going to say something else, but okay.
Yeah, Alex likes to strip wires with his teeth in his spare time to complete random hardware projects. For example, we recently were testing a drone warflying platform in our spare time. And of course, like, this is what Alex and I kind of like do for fun, is just work on projects that seem borderline impossible but really cool. And then we proceed to forget to do important steps and have to bust out MacGyver skills in order to save said projects. So in my spare time, I don't really play video games unless I'm deeply depressed. And when I do, I only play StarCraft 2 and Alpha Centauri, which is a game from 1999. Nice. And aside from that, we like to make prototypes. So
yeah, I mean, that's still mostly hacking stuff.
Yeah,
just like
so
a
like,
different...
Yeah, so like making hardware prototypes, making games, and learning about how other people are doing their research and kind of like expanding our knowledge of like the way stuff works. That's kind of fun for us. But also, I'm really into urban exploration, and all of us also have formed a tight little society around exploring the storm drains in Los Angeles. So we have a lot of interest in exploring abandoned spaces and yeah, just kind of like interesting like urban exploration stuff. So we do stuff outside of just messing around with technology.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has to do with just like, yeah, urban exploration.
Photography.
And photography, right. So another thing we are really into, which kind of goes well into all the production we do, is photography, lighting, just learning about how to do more art. It's really cool to learn that sort of stuff and then be able to immediately turn around and apply it to our work, because we get to, you know, use the fancy shots that we learn to do. We get to use the lighting that we set up for art shots to then make our set look better. So yeah, learning production and doing art is also something that's really fun. I like to also try to crash the drone that was given to me. I try this often, and I am not yet successful. Well, actually, no, I crashed it twice.
You're pretty successful.
Yeah, no, let's say, sorry. I'm trying to destroy the drone that was given to me, and I have crashed it several times.
Funky Monk says he chipped a tooth stripping a wire. I too have a chipped tooth, but it was because my friend threw a chair at me in the 3rd grade. Great. So John Cortez remarks that you smell like the 90s. That's a great comment.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can smell me from there, but if you're that close, I would appreciate it if you could help with the production.
Great. What is urban exploration?
So urban exploration is a combination of open source intelligence and extreme anxiety. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was very used to having forests and like abandoned structures and other things to just go out explore whenever I wanted to blow off some steam. But in LA, everything's very public, and there's a lot of, there's people everywhere. Like, nothing is really private. You'll never find yourself in a private space. And most of the things that are really beautiful or interesting are swamped with people who are there to take pictures of themselves with it. So something that was very important for me was finding hidden spaces that were beautiful and interesting and had something kind of private about them, where like not everybody knew about them, not everybody had seen them. And one thing that I really fell into was doing open source intelligence with the city's data. So Los Angeles has a huge open data initiative where they make lots of data public, and I was able to go in and look at all the plans and designs for the entire storm drain system and identify really interesting looking drains that were super big, clear of any like obstructions or problems that might make it dangerous to explore, and otherwise in a position where street artists might put some of their work in. And I found that a lot of these street artists would actually spend their best work in these areas where they knew their pieces would not be painted over by city workers and instead would stay up for like a decade. So in exploring these spaces, I got a real appreciation for street art. I got a real appreciation for just like hidden private spaces. And of course, we got into some tight scrapes as well, because it's a very lawless, weird area, and people use it for all different things. There was a while where there was an entire homeless mansion that was set up that went all the way back, maybe like 150 feet back into a tunnel with multiple rooms and dogs and a kitchen and all this other stuff that then got flooded away like within a couple months. So it's a pretty wild place. And that was, for me, one of the things I was able to do living in such a tight city with so many people all around me, where like you generally don't meet anyone down there because it's not a space people like to go. And that's urban exploration.
Fun stuff. We'll take another question. Thoughts on hacktivism?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that kind of conflate hacking and hacktivism, where they think that people just do illegal stuff to kind of force people into a position one way or another. And there's a lot of people that use their skills for this. But I would say that this sort of activity often puts the people who do it more at risk than it does move the needle. In terms of like actually having an impact. But that's a huge generalization. There's lots of organizations out there that really do manage to do things that are very applicable to human rights. Like the recent hack of a prison that was abusing prisoners to expose video footage of them doing exactly what they were doing is a great example of hacktivism that is effective. So I would say like some of these like just kind of like it's just crime, but it's just like politically motivated crime that's like not very difficult or not very clever. That's a lot of what hacktivism is perceived as. But there are people who are highly skilled, who are highly motivated, and who are doing things that are making the world a better place. So I would just say it's not a black and white issue. Like, hacktivism and sometimes is extremely effective and is an absolutely wonderful thing to have around. And then there's other cases where, again, it's barely disguised crime with political motivations. Yeah. So it really depends on the actor and what they're trying to accomplish. If they're trying to make super positive change in the world and they're doing so through a way that isn't maybe completely legal, but maybe neither was the thing that was happening that was exposed. Like, that's the kind of thing that is, again, not black and white. It's hard to say who's in the right there. So, a lot of the time, this stuff has kind of like a Reddit mentality when it trickles down to people who are not like highly skilled. They're just kind of going with the flow. And that's where we get like people going on campaigns against those who like either haven't done anything wrong or have been like misidentified. So there are risks when it comes to like vigilantism, where like, if you're not a professional organization, then sometimes you do unprofessional stuff, and sometimes you mess up really badly and damage the brand of the organization you're trying to help. So it's messy, is what I would say.
Yeah, especially when you like get a whole bunch of random people on the internet involved at like a surface level understanding of what they're attacking. Like if everyone's just like in to destroy this one thing, it's kind of scary having that many people trying to attack it.
So one question was on the Anom sting operation. I think I remember this one, but I'm going to have to very quickly Google it to remember exactly what it was. The collaboration by law enforcement agencies from several countries, millions of messages sent through supposedly secure smartphone-based messaging system. Okay, right. So this was a supposedly encrypted app that was marketed towards criminals, basically, that was backdoored in a way that allowed agencies to intercept basically everything that was going through this. This is, I would again say, not black and white. Like, in some cases, you would say, hey, if a police agency is going to insert a backdoor into a messaging system, like, maybe they need a warrant to spy on everybody who's using it. But on the other side, you might say, okay, well, if this app is exclusively marketed to criminals, right, and like it's like great for crime, try for crime. Are you a criminal? Try this app. Like, and that's their marketing strategy. Then it's arguable that by saying that this was explicitly for illegal things, each user would be making themselves subject to reasonable suspicion that they were in fact a criminal if they were signing up for a crime-based service. There is some overreach here when it comes to like the kinds of issues this could raise. Like, if you're not inserting this into something that's just used for crime, if it's something that's used by normal people as well, maybe people who are subjected to like political repression or maybe whistleblowers, then backdooring this entire system to get at a couple targets is a really serious issue. This one is a little bit more cut and dry because it was so marketed towards criminals. But again, if there were people who are using this for something other than crime, then they were definitely swept up in this within this operation and probably had no idea what happened. So yeah, this is kind of a slippery slope in some ways where it's not a good thing to just wholesale exploit a platform and then just go through everyone's stuff on it. But in this case, because it was so narrowly targeted, it seems like it would be pretty hard to defend, like,
Yeah.
the intentions of the people who are signing up for, paying for, and using this app.
It's a pretty hazy line between like the ethicality of this and also privacy issues that are involved with like having a backdoor into that app.
Mm.
Let's take another question.
Uh,
What drone do you have?
Oh,
You want
yes.
to talk about your wonderful indestructible?
I've tried to destroy it many times. So I have 2 drones. One of them is a piece of foam core from the dollar store, which I have put a motor and some servos on, and it has a flight time of about 30 seconds in 7 test flights. And the second drone is a DJI Mini 2. It's fine, but it is programmed to do a couple of things that seem smart, but then in the moment can be very dumb, such as ascend when it loses a signal, which is how I hit a bridge 16 times. So it doesn't have sensors to determine if it's going to hit anything from above, so it has done this many times. And I've also managed to get enough of a signal delay on it that I've hit a tree going at about 35 miles an hour over a lake, but the drone managed to recover itself. So overall, would I say this is a super reliable drone? Yeah, I have not been able to kill it. The only way we almost lost it was when it threw a propeller on the other side of a glacial lake. And then we had to hike to the other side and spend an hour looking for it after its battery died. I will say the recovery system for it is actually super dumb. If you lose your drone, it stays fully powered and continues to send you video footage for no reason at the like dramatic expense of battery life, and then just beeps frantically for I think like maybe like 10 or 15 minutes before completely dying.
Wow.
If it could just like sip battery and just ping me every 30 seconds, like so I would have maybe a little bit more time to find it, we would have had better results. But in spite of this, we were still able to recover it even when it ended up, oh my gosh, almost like a half mile away. In some bushes that we had no idea where they were on the side of a mountain. So it is a pretty wild drone because we're also able to mount stuff to it. So because people have decided to add weird accessories like pontoons so you can like land on water, you can actually strap a fair amount of stuff on this before it starts limiting the things you can do, like restricting the height that you're allowed to go to if it determines you're carrying too much weight. So Alex and I have been working with the Warflying project to just find out how much we can pile on this drone without really any miniaturization or waist weight reduction at all. And it seemed to be performing pretty well. We were able to do a flight and only had a couple of problems. So yeah, overall, this is a pretty good drone if you want to get started with trying out payloads or otherwise flying without, at least at the time I bought it, needing a license because it's just under the weight limit for requiring a pilot license.
It's pretty sweet. We don't have many new questions, but I'll take this from earlier on in the chat. Any plans to do future Hacker OS videos? Red Star OS would be fun to look at. Red Star OS is that operating system, I believe, that was made specifically geared towards North Korea. We could look at
it is. It's a North
yeah.
Korean Linux distribution.
That's great.
I love it. Okay, so Red Star OS, yes, I guess was first made in 1998. It looks like, is it still updated? Preceded by Fedora. Okay, all right,
Nice.
Interesting.
Requirements: Intel Pentium.
Oh no, I need 3 gigabytes of free space to run this. Whoa, look. It has
Whoa.
atomics. Hell yeah. That's great.
You have like this weird Candy Crush deviant? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what this is, but I know what this is.
Oh, Minesweeper.
Sure comes with everything. So yeah, we could try this out.
Yeah, let's take
I mean, if we're going to try out Temple OS, we might as well try out
Definitely.
Red Star OS, right?
They're on the same level.
Oh, they have wine, so I can play my video games.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
On all 3 gigabytes of RAM?
Yeah.
On your Intel Pentium?
Oh wait, so version 3.0 is heavily based on the Mac OS.
Nice.
That's great. So they're just like, you know what? We're going to make our own Mac OS, and it's going to be Linux. That's super cool. Okay, so actually maybe we will try this. This is just hilarious enough for me to actually want to try it. So thank you for suggesting this. I think this will become an episode. This is pretty good.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see any new questions?
Yes. Go ahead and switch over to my screen. We're going back to the dark place, everyone. All right. Hey, my dude, I came across your video about trying to get a hash identifier. I'm not much of a person to get into all of that, but I have an issue, and I was wondering if you could help me out. So I changed my Facebook password, and I totally didn't write it down, and I didn't save it to any of my devices, so now I have completely forgotten it. I was wondering if perhaps you could help a girl out and just get this password for me.
Sure thing.
Yeah, of course. I would love to, without any proof that this is your account, break into it for you. I love committing crimes for strangers. Thank you so much for requesting this. Moving on. You would actually be amazed by how many people are like, I got him. I know what I'm going to do. So my friend locked themselves out of the account. Or just like, I am so sad about not being able to get into my account of this girl that I know. We're not going to help you with that. Okay, next question. Hi, I read your article on phishing sites using BlackEye. Nice work, BTW. Sadly, BlackEye doesn't request my IP as the article suggests, so I can't get the phishing to work. Care to help? No, I'm not the developer of BlackEye. If you want some help with using a tool that I've showed or just like demonstrated how it works, please contact the developer of that tool. I probably had about 3 days worth of interaction with this tool in like 2018. So I do not know why it does not work, and I cannot help you because I have not touched this tool since 2018. This pretty much goes for any software on the show if I didn't write it. If I wrote it, then feel free to hit me up. That's my fault. But if I am just like featuring like some like bleeding edge tool that then the maintainer deletes as the Linux choice did, but you guys have no idea how many people I get hitting me up asking me for a copy of like the Linux Choices software because he deleted his repository, and I have like 3 videos featuring his tools. So people are like, hey, you got a copy of that? And for a while, I was just like, sure, here you go. But now at this point, I'm just like, no, it's gone. Like, and it doesn't even work anymore because it was deprecated and deleted. So can't help with that one either. All right, here we go, everyone. Let's do it again. Please, I lost my blockchain phrase. I need help, please. I have a lot of money inside it. Please help me. I have the address with me. Do you have any software that will work on it? Please, I need help. My Bitcoin in the wallet is huge. Help me. Cry. The saddest part about this is this is literally Justin Bieber contacting me. It's so sad that all of his Bitcoin is stuck.
Cody, how could you not help this man?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Justin, but
He needs his Bitcoin.
Exactly. Well, for one, Justin, Bitcoin is not a very sound investment, so I would expect you to know better than that. And second, I cannot break into Bitcoin wallets of random addresses you send me. Please stop sending me this. This is not the first one I've got today. So, no, if you have the Bitcoin wallet of someone, or theoretically even yourself, that you can no longer get into, call the police. Cyber police, not me, because I do not know what to do. All right, here we go. Good day. I'm watching your YouTube channel. I'm a new subscriber, and I really want to learn how to hack the Facebook. Damn it. All right, sorry, I have to start this over. I am watching your YouTube channel, and new subscriber, I really want to learn to hack the Facebook password of my partner, since he was cheating on me. On my desperation, I looked for someone who can help me, but ended up I was scammed. So I searched on YouTube and found your channel. I really wanted to learn how, if you could help me. Thanks in advance. I really signed up on Twitter since I think this is the only way to connect with you. I hope you will find the time to read my message. Thanks again. Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I did, in fact, find the time to read your message. The bad news is I cannot help you hack into your cheating partner's Facebook account. You need to break up with them. Break up with your partner if you're trying to hack. If you're trying to break into your partner's account, just break up with them. I will always say that. Always.
Sound advice.
If you feel the need to break into your like your partner's Facebook account, any account, just break up with them. Don't contact me.
You should just be like a marriage counselor at this point.
Yeah, it's like you have trust issues, and no amount of hacking is going to do anything other than validate the feelings you already have right now. You already know everything you need to know if you're asking me to do this. Just leave. I'll be the Dr. Phil of hacking. Just leave your partner if you're trying to hack them. That's it. Hey, Jody, can I ask you something?
Cody.
Yes, you may. All right, next one. Next question. Oh my gosh. This one is, okay. Hi, I saw your video and I'm having an issue with my YouTube channel. A girl is copying all of my content, and since 2 years I'm reporting her, but she knows how YouTube works, so every time she gets released. Look by your own. My video, she copy everything, and she do everything the same every day. Every day I'm opening copyright on what she's doing, but she's not stopping. Can you help me giving her a lesson? All right, it took a while to get to the ask. If not, do you know someone who can help me? I just want her to stop it. I can't do, you're asking me to do like hacking hits on people. No, I can't do that. I will not attack random people that you don't like. File a copyright claim. You can't just solicit people on Twitter to attack others.
Teach them a lesson.
To teach them a lesson. Look, what, you want me to go over to her house and break your legs? No, no, stop. So, okay, no. I will not break anyone's legs because they are copying your content. Next question. Hi, Cody. Do you have a video on Gmail hacks? Alex?
I made a video and I got banned.
Yeah, so the reason why we don't have any videos on Gmail hacks is every time we touch anything related to a Google service or Facebook or Instagram, it gets taken down immediately. Because why? Because it sounds like we're giving the people who just asked me to do all these terrible things exactly what they wanted. So this is like the problem with hacking, is people will often take what's supposed to be an educational skill and instead apply it inappropriately to a super volatile personal situation where they think that this will give them the upper hand sometimes. This is not the kind of thing that we're setting out to enable when we make educational hacking content. This is a job. It's something you can go into for work. It's not something that you're supposed to be using against your partners. It's not something you're supposed to be using to do like a digital hit on someone who's annoying you on the internet. So, yeah. It really takes a lot to make sure that people understand the context of our content and why we are trying to make educational content and how we're trying to steer away from the kind of stuff that would get us banned. And this is unfortunately the kind of stuff that would get us banned. So that is why I'm not able to help any of these people. And that's why I also don't check these message requests very often. So if you have sent me a message request, it is probably buried in this and I will get to it someday. I'm sorry. All right, so we're coming up on our time, but good. And Zam's in the chat. I was worried. I'm glad you're here. So if anybody has any last questions, we can probably do like one or two more. But Alex, were there any left from the YouTube channel, or did we get through them all?
We have. Do you have any projects with Stefan coming up in the future?
So at the moment, we don't have any projects with Stefan coming up in the future. I know that he's probably working on his new version of the author. So I know he's got all sorts of stuff happening with that, and he's just managed to make it so he can really take on much larger projects. So you should definitely stay tuned if you're looking for new advances in the Wi-Fi author. Separately, Alex and I are working on some educational hardware that kind of spawns from some of the work that Stefan did on the Wi-Fi author, as well as some of the other projects. So if you want to keep in touch with just generally ESP8266 based Wi-Fi projects, make sure to check out the projects Alex and I are working on. And of course, stay tuned to Stefan's channel to see the latest updates on his new version of the Wi-Fi author, whenever that comes out. What does Alex's shirt say?
Montana Gonia. It's like a portmanteau of Montana and Patagonia, I guess.
Gotta let him know.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta let him represent.
And I'm also repping my Hack 5 hoodie, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, whereas my shirt just says "Life's a Breach," and I didn't realize that was actually on a badge from a hacker conference in like 2017. So interesting these coincidences. Okay, I think that's pretty. The Dr. Phil of hacking will forever be your new name. Please no. Although I do find it very fun to tell people to leave their partner when they're trying to hack them. But because I think that's my one trick. I don't really have a lot of other relationship advice. But sure, I'll own that. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us in the chat today. I also appreciate everyone who's been leaving comments on the YouTube channel. So if you didn't get your question answered today, and if you were inspired to ask another one, then please drop it on Security Forward, and we will make sure to get it answered the next time we go live. And I think we are also going to start doing a giveaway. So Alex, you want to explain all the details on that?
Definitely. So we're going to be giving stuff away.
Yeah.
Actually, if you want to switch over to my screen, I have a sneak peek of one of the products that we have in development, which is a variation of our Hackcat design. So we've been working on 3 different platforms that are geared specifically towards like penetration testing and sort of as like a Wi-Fi hacking multi-tool. One of the form factors we have is this Wi-Fi nugget, which is shaped after a little cat. So you can see as little cat ears with standoffs.
It's shaped after my nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody's wonderful nugget.
All right. My son was the inspiration for this.
So this is one of the designs we have upcoming. This one's called the Nugget, and basically it interfaces with a whole bunch of different open source software that works on the ESP8266 chip, which I have mounted back here that you can see.
Ooh, and look at
and
that.
a custom Nugget drawing.
A completely accurate representation
Yes.
of my cat.
Yes.
That is exactly what he looks
a
like.
caricature done of Cody's cat. Who's
That's actually a
wonderful-
photograph. That's
Yes.
photorealistic what my cat looks like.
But yeah, basically this is one of the platforms we've been working on. We also have 2 other ones that are up in the works that are also cat-based, which is how you know they're legit. In upcoming live streams, we're going to be doing a few giveaways of these products, just sort of as like a trial run, so you guys can take a look at how this thing works and provide us any feedback, so we can work on making this a more sound platform in the future.
Right. So tentatively, we're just trying this out. So we're also going to be giving away some Verona shirts and stuff like that. But if you want to qualify for this, make sure that you go to our YouTube channel and post a question for us to answer on the stream. We are going to be picking the best questions every week, and we'll be picking one of those questions to win a prize. We'll contact you, and provided you can post from your YouTube account to make sure you are the same person, the message we send you via email, then you will win the prize, and we'll ship you either a sick Verona shirt like this or one of our hardware designs, so you can give us a little feedback on it. So if you're interested in winning one of these, please make sure to leave us some great questions. And yeah, but then again, if you guys come in with an excellent question in the stream, then maybe we'll give you a prize as well. So make sure to tune into the new Q&A and drop questions on the YouTube channel in order to qualify for that.
Do we owe someone a Veronis mug, or did they order one? 8-Bit Oni says he still does not have his Veronis mug.
What? All right. Well, that is upsetting. We'll comment this on the YouTube channel, and we'll get Michael right on that. All right. So again, if you want to qualify for our first giveaway, then make sure to leave your question on the YouTube channel. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us, and yeah, see you next time.